and this is the third talk of just trying to introduce Fertile Heart to teachers. So we've looked at the importance of trying to get our children to think sort of conceptually about what it is to be human. Just want to build on that in this one, and suppose just think through the pedagogy, the why we teach it as we do. I came up with the idea of Fertile Heart actually at the Synod on the Family in Rome, and it's amazing insight. And then I spoke to Cardinal Vincent about it, and he immediately got it. He immediately got why that sort of be fertile is such an appealing sort of vision for children. Children love to be creative. They love to see that they're a bit taller, or get a certificate to show that I've grown and I've passed something, or that sense of growth in themselves is just amazing. I suppose children, but particularly when we get older, more and more appreciate the privilege of helping someone else grow. As a teacher, as a priest, surely one of the most beautiful moments is when we're trying to talk about something to a pupil, and they're not getting it, and then we say something, and then they get it, and their face lights up, and our heart lights up, because I know I've helped that person grow in a way that will stay with them forever. And there's also a great privilege in helping society grow. I think when we know that what we're doing with our life is making a difference to society, it gives us a dignity. So helping myself grow, helping the other grow, helping society, humanity grow, those are the three dimensions of fertility that really give joy to the human spirit. Cardinal Vincent gave three very simple examples of, if you like, developing fertility. Children love to be creative, to draw something, and they like to show you, don't they? And you're sort of saying nice things while you're trying to work out exactly what it is, but they share their fertility and they love that. It's even nicer when they've actually made a card, maybe for mom. So they haven't just been creative, but they've been creative for you. And it's lovely, isn't it? When we put them up on the fridge, don't we? Because it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful gift. And then working with someone, being creative with someone is maybe even more joyful. One of my happiest memories was just making bread with mom, and I probably got in the way more than anything, but it was just lovely just doing something creative with her. So I think that idea of fertility, once it's explained as growing, making a difference, I think it really does speak to children instinctively, and the joy that comes with it. For ourselves, if we don't think conceptually, we're more at the mercy of like cliche and woolly thinking. I'm going to give you three. So long as they're happy. Well, okay, happiness is important, so there's a ring of truth in that, but until we've thought through, well, what sort of happiness? Is it pleasure? Is it joy? Is it short-term? Is it long-lasting? Is it something that makes everyone happy, or me being happy at someone else's expense? Until that, then that's a really dangerous cliche to live by. Oh, live and let live. Sounds very appealing, doesn't it? It is the cliche of original sin, really, because it's about individualism. I'll look after me, you look after you. Whereas as persons, you and your happiness is as important to me as me and my happiness. So it's live and help the other person live. So there's a balance between giving you the freedom to be you, but out of love, how can I best help you? How can I let you help me? And then the third one is along the lines of telling our children, you can be anyone you want to be, so long as you dream and go for it. There's a lot of appeal in that. We want our children to dream. We want our children to have self-confidence and to go for it, even though you're going to get knocks and what have you. But actually, we have to understand that it's God that's made me, and He's given me a calling, and His dreams are bigger for me than my dreams are for me. And I can't just be who I like, because so much of me has already been given me. So appreciating that and realising the beauty of that, and then cooperating with it, that gives our children entrance into the biggest dream possible. Mary did that so sublimely at the Annunciation and at the foot of the cross, and always. So just little insights into why it is important that we do Fertile Heart, and why it actually does relate to what goes inside our young people. So it is hard. We start off with the first 3 years, and it's nice. It's image of God. God loves you. God's with you. God feeds our bodies. God feeds our mind. God feeds our heart. I think those first 3 years are just good and beautiful and jolly. And then year 3, we focus on John's Gospel. And it is RSE, but it's conscious that they're doing First Holy Communion prep, and so it links in with that as much as possible. And I think it's quite powerful, but gentle. And then year 4, there's a sort of a gear change. We move from based on faith to based on reason. So we do use faith, but it's more based on reason, and we're trying to help our children to understand that what reason says and what our faith says do go hand in hand. So we start off with image of God, and we start off with the importance of relationship in our lives and happiness. So we think through what that really is, and the happiness graph is really important. That sin, we enjoy it for a bit, but actually it makes us unhappy. Whereas doing good, maybe we have to dig deep, but then it makes us happy. And that graph is really quite important, I suppose. From that we think about freedom and tolerance, and the more conceptual things like person and nature and the objective and the subjective, which don't come naturally. But it is why year 5 and 6 are probably the hardest years. But that is deliberate, as I've said. I think they are great sponges and they're up for it. Whereas maybe from year 7 onwards there's a bit more cynicism and why are we doing this? So apologies to year 5 and 6 teachers, but there's a reason for that. Secondary school, it is much harder to get the staff on board. There will be staff who don't agree with Catholic teaching or Catholic vision, whereas there's less likely at a primary school. There'll definitely be more staff that just aren't sure about it and will tend to think, I'm here to teach geography, I'm here to teach history, why have I got to teach another subject? And so there's lots of reasons why it's extra hard to get someone to do RSE in secondary school. There's never been a September where you've come back and you've been told, right, we're going to do less this year. Yeah, it's always right, we're going to do a new initiative, we're going to do more, we're going to do more. I've been in chaplaincy for over 20 years, and it's harder to get teachers to be involved with the sort of chaplaincy side of school, not primarily because there's less teachers interested, but because I've got enough to do my own. You know, and from having a staff room, we tend to have a maths staff room and an English staff room and a humanities staff room, and it's not easy, I would actually argue it makes it more important to have Fertile Heart, because if you're willing to enter into it as a staff, and I appreciate how hard that is, then it does help the school to have a common anthropology, a common understanding of how are we trying to get our children to develop, because RSE isn't a side issue. Yeah, the reason our children are educated is so that they can understand who they are and who others are and who God is, and then relate accordingly. Art, science, all the subjects are there to help that process. But actually RSE, particularly in Fertile Heart, is directly dealing with that process. So it is hard, but the danger of every Catholic secondary school now is that it has a Catholic SLT, it has a Catholic RE team, but it lives out a secular anthropology that doesn't feed as much as a Catholic one does. And trying to convince all our staff that that's true is hard. Trying to convince our staff that so we need you to get in there and take it deeply is just very hard. But I would suggest not only does it give our pupils, our students, our young people a real ability, not just to, in this situation you do this, in this situation you do this, but because you understand what it is to be human, you're going to make the right decision in all these situations, or at least more. Not only does it do that, but actually it might help our staff think through these things and become more united. And it is absolutely central to a fertile, creative Catholic secondary school, that there is a unity of anthropology amongst the staff. So we do deal in year 7 with sort of more revision, I suppose, but the important concept of person and freedom and tolerance. But we also talk about appropriate vulnerability. That's really an important concept. If I am invulnerable, I can't receive and give. If I'm too vulnerable, I just get hurt. So appropriate vulnerability is gradually developing relationships of trust and giving and receiving. Year 8 begins by 3 key choices we have to make. We have to put the spiritual above the physical. It's what gives life. It's what the journey inside is greater than the journey outside. We have to put truth above opinion. That is so important and counter our culture. We have to put giving and love above the ego life. What about me? And if we keep making those 3 choices, the other choices we make tend to be better ones. And then the second half, we deal with more practical things, I think, like the sexting, texting, social media, and appropriate vulnerability, but a fascination. We just begin by that fascination between male and female. In year 9, we do move towards thinking about masculinity and femininity. Our culture doesn't like complementarity. You're allowed to say we're equal, well, more than allowed, and rightly so, because we are. Absolutely reinforce it. And then we're okay to talk about a complementarity, but we're not allowed to explore that complementarity. Yeah, we live in a world that tells our young females that your fertility is a curse, and we live in a world where we tell our young males that masculinity is toxic. That's a bit of a generalisation, but there's a lot of truth in it, and particularly year 9 tries to help first of all appreciate the joy of fertility, even though it comes with difficulties, and also, yes, misusing masculinity, misusing femininity, misusing anything can be toxic, but also there's a strength to masculinity when it's used to out of love. You know, the vision of Adam and Eve is that the rib was taken from Adam's side because that's Eve's rightful place. It's taken from under his arm because he's called to protect her, and it's taken from close to his heart because that's where she should always be. And so that sort of complementarity, where both seek to protect the other, both seek to give to the other, both seek to be close to each other as equals, but in their complementarity, is a very difficult message to sell in our culture, but it is so beautiful, and it just helps with so many anxieties within our young people that it is worth it. I can't go on too much longer, but so year 9 and year 10 develop that more, that complementarity, that vision of fertility, the uniqueness of marriage. And then year 11 more just focuses on virtue and on mercy and forgiveness and such things, and ecology and working together. So there is a pattern there, there's a difficulty. I hope you're seeing the pattern and why fertility is such a good hook to get our children to engage with this. Just helps you as a school and as individuals to go, we're going to make this work. And I almost promise you, if you get to that point, it will, and your school and every pupil in it will benefit from it. Thanks.